So it's official. Shiranui is in fact back from the dead. Hey, come on guys, that was a good pun. So Konami's officially implemented their ban list. Essentially they just unbanned a whole bunch of cards for a bunch of archetypes that were notorious for being some of the longest standing meta archetypes in the game's history. One of which being an archetype that no matter how many times Konami would beat it with the hammer, it would always seem to crawl its way back up to the top. An archetype so powerful that it managed to stay meta relevant for 11 months straight. And on top of that, the only way Konami did eventually manage to keep it out of the meta was by limiting 5 separate cards in the archetype. And even then, 6 months later, it still managed to pop its little head back into the meta. I'm of course talking about everyone's favourite zombie deck, Shiranui. So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I go through the deck list, if you're enjoying today's video and want to see more content just like it in the future, especially if you're a returning viewer, as apparently only about 50% of the people watching right now are subscribed to the channel, yet nearly all of you are actually returning viewers who have seen my stuff before. So if you find yourself keep coming back to the channel to see more content from me, remember to hit that subscribe button down below so you'll never miss an upload. Alright, let's get into the deck list. So unfortunately, if you're hoping for this to be the absolute return of Tier 1 Shiranui back into Duel Links, I'm afraid you're going to be a little bit disappointed, as although these unbans were fairly nice for the deck and has kind of brought back some older playstyles that were no longer available to it, it's not going to bring it back to its top tiers, considering it still has quite a few cards being limited, being you have your Spiritmaster still on there, you have your Solitaire, and most importantly, Squire is also still on that ban list. But like I said, this unlimit has actually enabled some of the older playstyles of Shiranui to return to the deck once more. Most notably, we now have Sealing Ceremony of Katon back in the deck, a card that's almost built for Shiranui. Once per turn you can banish one fire monster from your graveyard to target one card in your opponent's graveyard and banish that target. Now before the unlimit, this card had to be completely cut from the deck, as there wasn't that many good banish targets in Shiranui anymore, considering most decklists had just completely cut Squiremaster entirely. But now we have this card back in the deck at 3 copies, meaning you can now banish this card whenever you like, to then destroy one face-up card your opponent controls, while simultaneously removing stuff from their graveyard, which is obviously actually a very strong effect in today's meta, considering the amount of decks that are currently using the graveyard as part of their combos. So for those of you that never actually have played Shiranui before, let me give you a brief rundown of what this deck is trying to do. So the main goal of this deck is to get your Shiranui Spectralsword in the graveyard. This card, if it's in the graveyard except the turn it was sent there, can target one non-tuner zombie monster in the graveyard, banish both it and this card, and if you do, special summon one zombie type synchro monster from your extra deck, whose levels equal the total levels of those 2 monsters. So essentially it's like doing a synchro summon using the cards in your graveyard by banishing them. And this is a really powerful effect, as it's kind of like getting 2-for-1 value out of your synchro summons, because if you summon out something like a Spectralsword along with your Solitaire, you can just use this card, use the Solitaire, go into a level 6, then on the following turn, bring out another level 6 using the cards in your graveyard. On top of that, both Solitaire and your Spiritmaster obviously have insane synergy with being banished, so if you use these guys' materials with your Spectralsword in the graveyard, you're going to get some pretty powerful effects. A very common example of a combo with this deck would to put your Spectralsword in grave in combination with Solitaire. You then activate your Spectralsword, banishing the Solitaire and itself to go into a level 6 monster on board. This will then activate your Solitaire's effect to revive this card that you just banished. This will put the 2 materials on board to make yourself a level 8, which will also put the Shiranui Samuraisaga in the graveyard. Shogunsaga, when it's on the field, can banish a Shiranui monster from your graveyard or a zombie monster to gain attack equal to that monster. So essentially, you put this card on the board, you put this card in the graveyard, and you gain yourself a 5,500 attack monster on the field. It's an insane combo that generally ends in you just OTKing most opponents. The only thing I'm not really sure about in this deck list anymore is what skill to run, as essentially there isn't really any good skills for Shiranui anymore. I'm currently running level Duplication, as it does have some synergy in bringing out the Shogunsagas and the Sunsagas a bit more often and when you want them, but I think in testing this deck list I didn't actually get to activate this skill once, which is a very bad sign for a skill, as I probably should be getting some more value out of it. It's just this thing has a life point requirement on it now, whereas it used to not have one in the past when it was actually really good in Shiranui. so I just don't get to activate it very often, and even when I do get the chances to activate it, I just don't really need to, or I could just win the game anyway. I was tempted to run Posthumous Army, which is kind of a fun little meme skill, and I can run the zombie synchro monsters in here, such as the... Where is it? You can run your Red Eye Zombie Necro Dragon, or you can run your copy of Doom Kaiser Dragon and yoink zombie monsters from your opponent's graveyard by turning his graveyard into zombies with the skill, but that's more of a meme thing. It's not exactly all that great. Plus, again, it has a life point requirement, so you probably wouldn't get to use it all that often anyway. So I think maybe just running Destiny Draw. I don't know. If you guys have any other good ideas for skills, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. But anyway, that's going to do it for the decklist portion of the video. The rest of the video will be gameplay showcasing the decklist in action, and without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so today I have 4 replays to show you guys, all of which were taken from the Stage 1 KC Cup, which just started today, which I've been having a really easy grind through with this decklist. So I know I'm only currently pretty low rank in the stages, or the duel levels, so yeah, but it's been a really easy grind, so I wouldn't be surprised if you could use this deck to easily climb. In fact, I can guarantee you could easily climb to max with this decklist if you wanted to. Alright. So first player, I think, was playing Drag Unity. I don't even know if he was playing the updated variant, because he was playing some of the more older stuff. Alright, so activating Samurai Skull, sending the Spiritmaster to grave, so I have a guaranteed card to combo with my Sealing Ceremony of Katon. I also have Needlebug Nest ready, in case I want to send some other cards to potentially use with the ceremony. Activating Lance, he's putting a course on his monster, Synchro Summoning into... I have no idea how to pronounce that. The important thing is, this card then tries to equip the monster he just put in the graveyard, so I can activate my Katon in response, banishing my Spiritmaster, and banishing his monster in graveyard. Spiritmaster goes off, popping his monster. I use Needlebug Nest during the end of the turn, because this card obviously it can't use its effect during the turn you send it, so it's important to use the trap card during his end phase. Hit a Spectral Sword so I can then banish the Solitaire, bringing back the Spectral Sword, going into Shogunsaga, banishing the level 6 we just put on field, normal summoning as well, and we have way overkill right now. Yeah, it's great, so he survives an attack, but that doesn't matter. Alright, game number 2. So I think this was actually someone playing Rose Dragon, but he had a really weird list. I think he was playing Drowning Mirror Force in his deck, which cannot be common. If you're running Drowning Mirror Force in your deck, I think, unless you're playing your Senjus or something, you're probably playing the wrong trap card. He has 24 cards too, so you could easily cut it. Either way. Normal summoning a Spiritmaster, pretty shit hand. I do get to keep the Spectral Sword in hand though for the Karma card I have on board. I did get the option to special summon it, but generally special summoning the Spectral Sword using Spiritmaster isn't that great, since Spiritmaster means the card that you summon with its effect will be banished when it leaves the field, so you didn't get Spectral Sword in grave. Opponent's going to do absolutely nothing, just use some Karibos. Normal summon my Skull, Treacherous Trap Hole. The classic, nobody reads what Skull does, uses Treacherous to destroy the Skull. When Skull leaves the field because of your opponent's card effect, you can actually bring out a zombie monster from your deck, so... He's DD to banish the Spectral Sword I just put in there, which is fine. Bit annoying, but doesn't matter too much. I put this dude on board for a bit of pressure, he Book of Moons it. Not sure why he'd Book of Moon that, but he did. I normal summon my Spectral Sword and go into my Samuraisaga. He Drowning Mirror Forces me, which is okay. Finally going to use some of his Spell Rose's stuff. Summons his Rocks Rose. I activate my Breakthrough skill to negate its effect. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm only running one Breakthrough in this list, it's because I only actually own one, so... Not sure if I'd run more anyway. He tries to activate his Basil Rose Shoot, which is a card that is a non-target special summon of a Rose Dragon monster in graveyard, but thankfully he only actually has one in grave, so I can activate my Sealing Ceremony, banish my Spiritmaster to banish his dragon, and pop a card on the field. Which also actually pops because the Spiritmaster effect goes off after the chain, so his card effect resolves, and then my Spiritmaster goes off, so you can't just resurrect this guy straight away. He activates another Rose Shoot. Once again, I can just banish the only card he has in grave anyway, and I think he just concedes as soon as I activate Spectral Sword. Alright, on to game 3. I think that guy was... yeah, he's playing the best deck in the game, but he wasn't exactly the best player in the game. We'll just leave it at that. Alright, so this guy was playing Harpies, and I got very lucky in this game, I'm not gonna lie. If this guy had an activatable spell card, I probably would have lost. Summons his Perfumer, goes to Egotist, special summons out his Dude, and Synchro summons into his Slash, and special summons at the end of the turn, sending one card and passing. Now, if this was activatable, I would have been in a pretty bad spot, especially considering my hand is just a bunch of monsters, whereas generally, you kind of want some back row with this deck. I do draw into a Breakthrough, which is pretty good. Spiritmaster, summoning out Solitaire, tributing Solitaire, bringing out Spectral Shade. This way I can go into the level 7, Squiresaga, which can banish your monsters from grave to then activate various effects depending on what you banished. If it's a zombie type monster, you can have all monsters you control gain 300. If it's a fire, you can draw a spell, you can destroy a spell and trap card, and if it's a synchro, you can destroy one monster on the field. In this case, we're banishing Spiritmaster, so we already get the pop of the monster, and we get to pop back row because it's fire, and we gain the attack as well. Alright. Opponent activates his skill, getting last Duel, which is very annoying because we only have one back row anyway. Thankfully, he didn't have a Harpy in hand for this effect, so he's going to have to use his Egotist, otherwise he probably would have lethal me. Bring out Dark Rebellion, bit of a weird choice, but okay. And then comes the misplay. Now, you guys might think, this is really dumb that I'm already trying to use Breakthrough skill to negate this monster, which, by the way, doesn't work. But, on top of that, that wasn't actually what I was trying to do. It's even stupider than that. I thought that the card I was activating wasn't Breakthrough skill, but it was Spectral Sword Shade. Because this card, normally, when it's on the field, you contribute it to target 2 of your banished monsters and bring them back. I had a complete brain fart and tried to activate this card once it was in the graveyard, which obviously isn't something you can do, so yeah, this was dumb, but it's actually even dumber when, yeah, it was dumb, okay? We'll just pretend that never happened, okay? Spiritmaster gonna revive the Squiresaga, popping his monster on the field, and hit him in the face. Needlebug, milling a bunch of stuff. Squiresaga, banishing my dude, hit him in the face, and he's dead. Won the 50-50 and hit the trap card that would have been annoying. Although I probably would have lethaled him anyway. I think I had enough attack. Alright, final replay. So I think this was against a bit of a meme deck, let's be real. Playing Cyber Angel, which is my favourite deck in Duel Links history, so had to include the replay. Though this guy, he played it pretty bad. Though I don't think he had any chance at all, but he did play it pretty bad. Alright, so Petite, searching for Machine. Activate Machine Angel Ritual, using the 2 dudes, Synchro Summoning, Ritual Summoning, getting a search, getting another search, before ending on an Isna, which I highly recommend not doing if you're playing Cyber Angel. I feel like ending on Isna, although it gets some sort of a little bit of protection in that it can pop stuff when it's targeted, I feel like it's 100% more value just to summon Dakini and get those resources back from Graveyard. I'm almost 9,000% convinced that's the better play. I've played a lot of Cyber Angel, and I think Isna turn 1 just isn't good. In this case it was pretty good though because I had triple back row, but still. Activate Karma Cut to target his monster, and then Giga Chatter and don't activate any of these cards in response, as this is non-target, so he could have hit this card and it would have been pretty bad for me. Not that bad, but he could have hit this card. But I Giga Chattered, I'm assuming he's going to hit the middle card, meaning I can then revive this card using the Karma Card. Whereas if I chain the Karma Card right now, I wouldn't get the revive. So I'm like, he's going to hit the middle, and he does. So now I can activate Karma Cut, and freely bring back the Paleo card as well. Solitaire, bringing back the... summoning out the Spectral Sword. Bring the Shogunsaga, banishing the Samuraisaga. Canadia being revived with a Karma card, removing his monster, and there's lethal on board. Didn't even need the Canadia anyway. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, remember to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.